This show is brought to you by Smellables. Go get your free Smellables trial today at smellables.com/thebottleopener.
The Bottle Opener Desert Island Edition.
Well, hey there, folks. Welcome to the only show on the internet, the only bartending show, rather, that was brought to you by Smellables, or sponsored by Smellables. This show is going to be a little bit different, something I love to say, right? This time, I have a couple of questions that were inspired by an article I read on liquor.com. One of those 4 things you would bring to a deserted island type questions. So the question is, what 4 bottles of libation would you bring to a desert island? Or a deserted island, I guess, would be the proper way of saying it. And this article, going in the direction of the cocktailer or the mixologist, said a bottle of spirits, a bottle of vermouth, a bottle of orange liqueur, and a bottle of bitters. It's a fairly good option, or bunch of options to bring if the purpose is to make cocktails. And the article did caveat their choices of alcohol with the caveat that they would have unlimited amounts of lime juice and shit like that, because it's a tropical paradise. I'm gonna kind of go in a different direction from my way of answering this, and I'm gonna bring the things that I would like to drink while I'm at that island. They're all gonna be spirits. They're also, actually have most of the bottles. I have 3 of the bottles here right now. I'm gonna get on to explain the 4th one that I don't have as well, but as I was saying, the 3 bottles I do have are right here in front of me, and they're very aptly empty, because I love to drink this shit. So we'll start with the first one. My favorite bourbon that I've had so far, the Eagle Rare 10-year. What better thing to bring on a deserted island than the flavor of maple syrup toffee poured over ice? It's taken directly from my Tasting Notes episode, where I tasted, or recalled the taste of going to a maple syrup farm back home, where they did just that. They poured fresh maple syrup out of the vats, or just, I don't know if they're made in stills, whatever they're made in. I'm going to go with vats for the moment, but poured directly out of the vats onto snow to make maple syrup toffee, and the taste of this whiskey reminds me a lot of that. Of course, you also get the flavor of oak from the aging process, which is pretty damn awesome. Next thing I would bring is a bottle of tequila. Now, you might suspect that I'm going to bring a higher priced tequila, like the Don Julio Reposado that I quite enjoy. I'm actually going to go for the Hornitos Black Barrel, a cheaper option, which, admittedly, if I was going to go for anything, why would I go for one of the cheapest? Just because I like it. I find that it's a very interesting tequila, even for the price. Double-aged in whiskey barrels. I love this stuff. I mean, I can't add much more than that. It's a really good tequila. I did rate the Don Julio higher on my booze porn rating of these tequilas, but nevertheless, I'm going to go for this one, just because a lot of the experience in the Don Julio Reposado are kind of similar to the Eagle Rare, and truth be told, I kind of like sipping on this one more occasionally than on the Don Julio Reposado, even though pure taste-wise, I do like the Don Julio better. For my 3rd one, I'm going to go with Captain Morgan's Black Spice Rum, which I never reviewed this stuff, actually, now that I think of it. I never reviewed this stuff on the show, which is something that needs to be done, but it does need to be cataloged that, in my opinion, this is superior to Kraken Black, which is very trendy right now, of course. Regardless of that. The 4th bottle, which I don't have, I'm going to get to that in a sec, but I was very tempted to bring this stuff with me. Partly because it's delicious, and partly because I don't have any clear spirits on my trip to the deserted island, or it's not a trip, it's a lifetime, or whatever, 4 years, just like Tom Hanks in that one movie, Castaway. But anyways, I decided I wasn't gonna bring this clear spirit. Instead, the spirit I would go for, the number 4 spirit, is Talisker 12-year, which I quite like. It's my favorite scotch that I've tasted. I can't say that it's my most favorite scotch, but out of the ones that I've tasted, it is my favorite, and I feel like I need more whiskey than just the Eagle Rare when I'm gonna go to this island, so why not have a Scotch whiskey? But anyways, another part of this question that I wanted to pose was more similar to the liquor.com version of, or not version, but their way of answering, and that is, what 4 bottles, if I had to have any 4 bottles of anything, and I'm not giving any specifics with this question, but if I could only have 4 bottles at a bar, what would they be? Now that's tricky. We've all heard of like the 12-bottle bar, which again came up at liquor.com, but what about 4 bottles? Well, I would definitely have to have a bottle of whiskey. As for what category of whiskey, I would probably go for bourbon. It's really a tough decision between, well, all the classes, but being that I'm from Canada, I'm a North American, I'm not going to go for the Canadian rye whiskey, however, but I chose bourbon simply because, in my opinion, it's more popular and more tasty. Canadian version. But I digress. That's one of the spirits, or one of the bottles that I would have on my bar, a bourbon. And the second bottle I would have, probably gonna be sweet vermouth. If I'm gonna have whiskey, I gotta make a few types of cocktails with it, right? And we already know you can make Manhattan with sweet vermouth, but you also need Angostura bitters. So I am gonna bring bitters as well. That's my 3rd bottle, and I know it isn't really a bottle of alcohol, but the question was 3 bottles, or 4 bottles rather, at this bar. Now, so far my way of answering is more similar to the liquor.com way of answering, but instead of saying that I'm gonna bring triple sec or an orange liqueur, I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to push away the orange liqueur, and I want to add a little bit more depth to my bar, so I'm actually going to bring a second spirit. And the spirit I'm going to bring, I have to think of this on the spot, because I wanted to have more of a genuine video, but I think I'm going to go with a Blanco tequila. Everybody loves tequila, right? Not really. Not everybody loves it, but I would bring a Blanco tequila simply because, I don't know, I feel like I need to have some kind of high-quality, ultra-premium spirit, and I think tequila would work out. It's popular, right? Yeah, it's popular. And those are my 4 bottles that I would bring to my bar if I was only limited to 4 bottles. Bourbon, Angostura bitters, or bitters in general, 1 type of bitters, sweet vermouth, and of course, Blanco tequila. Folks, get that Smellables trial. Also, favorite, comment, like, subscribe, and share to your friends. Mostly subscribe. If you didn't like this video, share to your enemies. You know the drill. Share it. Make them suffer with you. Make them suffer!